Hello everyone, this is KenBroTech from KenBroTech. So in this video, we are going to look at how we can integrate an already existing database into our Django application. So many a times, if you are designing a Django application or a Django project, with every application or with every app that you create, it has a model, and the model is where you create your database. But there could be a scenario where you have an already existing database, you'd want to attach it to your application, and that's exactly what you are going to look at. So over here I have a database by name MySQL, and I have a table students. So this is some data I generated, some dummy data I generated, and this is what we want to integrate into our application. So under normal circumstance, this we are supposed to design as a model, but in this case it's almost as if we are reversing it. So this has already been designed and we are reversing it and integrating it into our Django application. So what I have over here is I've already created a project which I call school project. Then I've also created an app which I'm calling dashboard over here, and I think I also have my template set up. So that's just about it. So when I go into settings.py, let's register the app over here. So we are going to say dashboard.apps.dashboard config. Then what I also have here done is I've already linked up the templates folder, this that I created over here. So I think as far as settings.py is concerned, we are almost through with this. So let me save this and let's run our application. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in python manage.py run server. So if I open this up, this is our Django web app, the default settings it gives us. So now what we want to do is, first of all, we want to change the database settings over here. We want to use MySQL. So in order to use MySQL, then we need to also change some parameters in here. So the first thing we are going to change is the engine. So instead of SQLi3, we are going to choose, or we are going to say MySQL for the engine. So we are saying django.db.backend MySQL. Then for the name, this is actually going to be the name of the database, and as we have it here, the name of the database is school. So I'm going to type in school over here. Then there are some extra parameters I need to specify. Then I'll come in here and specify user, and user is going to be root, small letter root. Okay, so this is all in the Django documentation, but a very quick way to get all this information is when you are using MySQL, you can actually get some of this information over here. So as you can see, we have user root at localhost. Okay, so the root is the user, and we have a parameter we are going to specify as host, and the host is going to be localhost. Then we are going to proceed to provide a port. So I'm going to type in port, and also one of the ways you can find your ports if you don't know the default ports we are using is I'm actually running the MySQLi through my XAMPP server. So there's MySQL, and we have this number over here. So this is actually the port, and that's 3306. So the port is going to be 3306. I'll put out a comma over here. Then the last parameter you need to pass in here is a password. So this is supposed to be a password. Now, as far as this database setup is concerned, I don't have a password in here, so I am going to leave it blank. But depending on what you are using, you may want to, or you'll be required to have a password. So our dev server is running. Now, if I'm to save this, it's going to reboot, and if there's no problem, it is still going to run. But if maybe in the course of typing I make a mistake, so for instance, for the user, instead of root, I'm saying root. You can see that clearly. It says access denied for user root, okay, at localhost. It was expecting root. All right, so when I do root back, it is still going to work. Now, if I'm to make a mistake and instead of the name of the database, I write in something else, you can see that it says to unknown database show or whatever that pronunciation may be. So you just have to pay attention to your dev server, and if it catches an error, then clearly you have some issues here and there. Then I think, yeah, for the port 2, if we make a mistake, it is supposed to show us exactly. So can't connect to MySQL server. Yeah, so definitely any mistake that we make as far as these parameters are concerned, we are going to be prompted, and it's important you have this set up over here. All right, so now we are confident that our Django application is able to kind of connect to this database we have over here, school. So what I'm going to do is we have this setup, okay. So I'm going to go into dashboard and just go and create a view so that we can see things from that end. So I'm going to create a function-based view. I'll have this as index, and I'll pass in a request. Then I'll return render. Then the first parameter I need to pass here is request. Then I think the name of my HTML file is going to be index.html. So I'll save this, and this is my index.html over here. Now the next obvious thing I need to do is to give it a URL route. So for the URL route, I think let's make things very simple. Let's go into the project's URLs and write this over here. So first of all, I'm just going to come in here and say from dashboard dot views. I'm going to say from dashboard, I want to import views over here so that I can have access to the views in here. Then I'm just going to do path, and this is going to be our base URL, so or our base directory or root. So over here, I'm just going to say views dots, and I can have access to index over here. All right, so this is just about it. This is a simple demonstration I want to do. So obviously the assumption here is you have some knowledge as far as working with Django and database is concerned. We are now reverse engineering everything we are supposed to do over here. So what I can do is I can actually come in here and come and refresh, and I think our work is going to work. All right, so this is what I have as far as the template is concerned. So for the template, I have a nav bar and this table over here, and this is exactly where we are going to put in our data. So this is basically what we are seeing in index or from index.html. So we have bootstrap setup over here. We have our nav, and this is our bootstrap stuff. So I'm not going to go so much into it. I have other videos of bootstrap and Django, so you can check them out. I'll leave the link in the description below. So now we are about to go into the main work, and that's connecting this database here. But first of all, let's do a migration, because we would definitely have to do so. So I'm going to do python manage.py, and let's migrate so that we can have everything set up over here. All right, so our migration is done. And if I'm to go back into my SQL database and come and refresh, we are definitely going to see that we have these by default Django database models in here. Okay, so we have all these in here, and we also have our student here that we want to integrate into our system. All right, so the next thing we will need to do is to find a way of bringing our model, okay, because as it stands, our model Django does not recognize it, okay, because we don't have any model in here. So if I'm to come into my dashboard app, models.py is empty. I don't have anything over here. Now, in order to, like I said, reverse engineer this for Django to automatically create our model for us, I'm going to run in the Python command over here. So I'll do Python manage.py. Then I'll say inspect db. So like inspect database, and I have this angle bracket over here. Then I'll do models.py. So let me shrink this a little bit so that you see everything over here. So this is what I type: Python manage.py, inspect db, and the angle bracket over here, like the greater than sign. And I'm saying models.py. Now this is going to create a new models.py somewhere here, okay, inside the main directory. So I'll run this, and here we have models.py. Now if I'm to open this up, and let me close this, you can see that Django automatically generates every model we have in that database we specified, and that database is cool, okay. So Django creates every model in there. So as you can see, this is the auth group. We have the auth group permissions, and these are exactly what I'm referring to. So the auth group permissions, the auth permissions, auth user, and everything in here. And that certainly is going to include our student database, okay. It creates a model for it. So I think just about the last thing we have over here is going to be our student DB. So this is created for us, and we see some of the things over here, but at the very top we have some few instructions over here. So it says this is an auto-generated Django model module. Now you have to do the following manually to clean it up: rearrange the models order, make sure each model has one field with a primary key set to equal to true, make sure each foreign key has a one-to-one field has on delete set to a desired behavior, and things of that sort. All right, so what I'm going to do is, since you're only interested in this student model, I'm just going to do a Control-C. So I'm copying this, and inside my dashboard app models.py, I'm just going to bring this over here so that it will behave as if we designed it ourselves over here. So when I save, I have my model set up for me, so I can go through the process and do some database queries to actually see the data on our interface. And that's certainly what we are going to do next. So I can come in here into my app views.py. So I'm going to say from the current models, I want to import students, and this is the current model as you see over here, and I've copied students over here, so we are good to go. So inside our view function over here, I'm just going to have a query set over here. So I have the query set students is equal to, then obviously I'm doing students.objects.all. All right, so I can have a context over here, and let me just grab this. So I'll do a Control C, paste it here, and my value is going to be this. And finally, I need to pass in my context over here. So I'll save this, and we are in business. So I can come into my index.html and come and type in some Python logic over here. So the first thing I would want to do is to take off the rest of this data over here and only leave one row. Alright, so if I'm to save this and come back over here, we have just one row, so that our looping is going to take care of what we need to do. So what I'm going to do is obviously going to put up a for loop over here. So with my template tag, I'm going to say for students in students. Then I'm going to end the loop over here. I'll do end for. All right, so basically I think, yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say student dot id. All right, so so this is a model. I have student dot id, which is going to be an auto-generated, the way Django handles its auto-generated ID. Okay, so you can just have access to that ID. The next one I'm going to do is the student ID. So I'll just do inside my template over here, bring out my template tag, then I'll do student dot the student ID over here. Then I have first name, last name, and address. Okay, so I'm going to do student dot first name. I'm going to do student dot last name over here. Then I think I'm going to have students dot, I think, city, and finally student dot address. All right, so I think, yeah, that's the order in which we have. So we have, let me just close this. Okay, so you have the student ID, which should be showing up over here, the first name, then we come to the last name, the city, and the address. All right, so after saving this, if I come here and come and refresh, we are definitely going to see the data from our database. All right, so let's just pay attention to maybe the first three rows also. So for the first names of the first three rows, we have Delilah, Gretchen, and Herman, and that's essentially what you have over here: Delilah, Gretchen, and Herman. Gretchen and Herman. All right, so every data we have in our database is now going to reflect over here. Then obviously, let's create a super user in here. So I'll do Python manage .py create super user. So I'm going to type in admin and admin at gmail.com, and my password is going to be 1234. All right, I'm just going to accept this so that I can proceed. So I can now log in into the admin page, and I'll type in my username and my password. All right, so this is our default setup. Okay, now we can obviously come into our admin.py and come and register our app over here. So I'm going to say from the current models, I want to import students over here. Then I'm going to say admin.sites.register. And the model that I want to register is students. So I'll save this, and clearly if I come and refresh, I have students over here. Now I can click on this, and as you can see, we have students objects 25, students objects 1, and things of that sort. And that's because inside our models.py, what Django created for us, we didn't put out any strange representation. So these are things we can sort out ourselves, okay? And I just wanted to show you so that you wouldn't have the impression that maybe something may go wrong. This is a normal thing that we are quite used to. So I'm just going to say, in order to have the strange representation, I'm going to pass in self over here, and I'm just going to return, I'll say self dot first name. So when I save this and come back over here, we are certainly going to see the first name listed over here. We could have also inside admin.py dealt with a list group. So I'm just going to have a class, and I'll say student admin, and I'm going to inherit from this admin, which is already imported for us over here. So admin dot model admin. Then what I can do is I can do a list display. So list display is certainly going to take a list or a tuple. So what I can do over here is I can have first name, last name, then let's say, yeah, city. So first name, last name, and city. And in order to get this working properly, I just have to come and pass in the student admin class I just created over here. So just by doing this, if I come and refresh, we are definitely going to see the first name, last name, and city. Okay, so I can add a new student. So let me just type in some random student ID number over here, and this time around I'm going to add my own name. So Kenneth, and the last name is going to be Bruni. Then the city is going to be Accra. Then for address, I'm just going to pick up this random address. So when I save this, we now have Kenneth added to our database. If I'm to come here to and refresh, we are definitely going to see Kenneth over here. As you can see, the reverse or the order is in this direction. We can also do a reverse of the order, but then as you can see, we have Kenneth Bruni Accra, and this is my address. the address I choose. All right, so this is just about it, and I think some of you will find this content very useful, because it is not always that we have to build our model right from scratch. But then I'll suggest you don't have to just play around some of these things. It is only prudent when you actually need it. That's why, or that'll be when you would actually have to do some of these things. Now, kindly subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and stay tuned for content like this. I'll be uploading short videos of how to solve some peculiar problems and also building applications from scratch. Thank you very much, and bye bye.